On Wednesday, the wife of former President Yoon Suk-yeol, Kim Gun-hee, appeared at the office of this special prosecutor to address allegations made against her, including stock price manipulation and abuse of power. Wednesday's investigation wrapped up after over 7 hours of questioning. 36 additional areas hit by deadly downpours last month have been designated as special disaster zones by President Lee Jae-myung, who pledged the utmost aid to help affected residents return to their daily lives as soon as possible. Global investment banks are upping South Korea's economic growth outlook for the year, saying that it'll expand by an average of 0.9%. Pointing at the country's robust exports and eased tariff uncertainties. Former First Lady Kim Gun-hee has been summoned by a special counsel over a series of allegations made against her. Kim is now the first wife of a former president to face a public summons by prosecutors as a suspect. Our political correspondent Shin Ha-young starts us off.
The special counsel's first questioning of former First Lady Kim Gun-hee lasted over 7 hours. The face-to-face session held on Wednesday at the office of Special Counsel Min Jung-gi in Jongno-gu District ended at around 5:46 p.m., about 7 hours and 23 minutes after it began at 10:23 a.m. Kim, the wife of former President Yoon Suk-yeol, then went through the written record of her questioning. The questioning comes after the special counsel mailed a summons to Kim's residence about 2 weeks ago to request her appearance as a suspect. Shortly after 10 a.m. on Wednesday, Kim arrived at the office, bowed and apologized to the public for causing concern before being questioned.
I am truly sorry that a nobody like myself has caused concern for the people. I will faithfully undergo the questioning.
However, she did not respond to questions from reporters about the allegations. This marks the first time in South Korea's constitutional history that a First Lady has been publicly named as a suspect in an investigation. The special counsel team focused on 5 of the 16 allegations made against Kim, starting with her purported role in manipulating stock prices. Other allegations include interference in the candidate nomination process during past elections and receiving luxury gifts from the Unification Church through a broker. Since Kim did not agree to be video recorded, the face-to-face questioning took place without it. According to the special counsel team, Kim did not exercise her right to remain silent. Ahead of the questioning, Kim's representative said she would answer questions as fully as possible without refusing, but wanted to avoid questioning after 9 p.m. due to her poor health. The special counsel is expected to summon Kim again for further questioning over other allegations. Shin Ha-young, Arirang News.
President Lee Jae-myung has designated 36 more areas as special disaster zones, heavily impacted by last month's heavy rainfall. According to a written briefing by presidential spokesperson Kang on Wednesday, there are 16 cities, districts, and counties, such as Asan City in Chungcheongnam-do Province and Bukgu District in Gwangju City, along with 20 towns and villages. This comes 2 weeks after the president first declared 6 cities and counties as special disaster zones. Under that status, local governments can receive state funding for recovery efforts, while residents can qualify for tax deferrals and discounts on utility bills. South Korea has completed the dismantling of loudspeakers directed toward North Korea. Some 20 speakers along the frontline areas have been removed and will be stored at nearby military units. This latest move follows the suspension of loudspeaker broadcast by the Lee Jae-myung administration as it entered office in June. Now, North Korea has yet to acknowledge this latest extension of an olive branch. South Korea serves as a role model given its proactive stance in defense against North Korea and its increased military spending. This is according to U.S. Undersecretary of Defense for Policy Elbridge Colby. In a recent post on his social media platform, he also stressed the importance of modernizing the ROK-U.S. alliance in response to emerging regional security concerns. South Korea's August extraordinary session of the National Assembly opened today with the political tensions at a boiling point. The ruling and opposition parties remain locked in a standoff over key bills, marking the first time in a year that the legislature has entered a formal filibuster standoff. Joining us in the studio is our political correspondent, Moon Hae-ryun. Welcome, Hae-ryun.
Thank you for having me on the show.
So, Hae-ryun, walk us through the current situation at the parliament.
That's right. So the latest political showdown currently revolves around 5 contentious bills. And so far, we've seen that 2 of these bills have been introduced at Parliament before being followed up by filibusters launched by the opposition People Power Party. So on Monday, the PPP launched a 24-hour filibuster to block a controversial broadcasting reform bill. But on Tuesday, the DP and the Liberal bloc ended it with a supermajority vote as allowed under Assembly rules. With the threshold met, the DP swiftly passed the bill, 178 in favour and 2 against. A second reform bill was then introduced, triggering yet another PPP filibuster. That too was then cut short at midnight as the July extraordinary session ended after just 7 hours. The media reform bill that was passed through Parliament yesterday afternoon is an amendment of the Broadcasting Act and is one of 3 contentious media reform bills backed by the DP. The bills aim to change how the heads of public broadcasters are appointed. So rather than being selected solely by a broadcaster's board of directors, a new recommendation committee composed of experts from various sectors will now nominate candidates. Currently, board members are selected largely based on political appointments, often resulting in accusations of government bias. Under the new law, a broader, more diverse recommendation committee, including members from civil society and academia, would nominate board members. The number of board members, too, will increase. The ruling party argues this will reduce political interference and promote independence in public broadcasting. But the opposition strongly disagrees, saying the change could instead shift control towards liberal-leaning civic groups and further politicize media under the guise of reform. A spokesperson from the presidential office today commented on the passage of the bill, saying that it aligns closely with the Lee Jae-myung administration's push to return public broadcasting to the people and represents an important first step in reforming how public broadcasters are run.
It represents a crucial first step in institutionalizing reforms to the governance structure of public broadcasters, an issue that has long been considered an urgent task.
Now, Hae-ryun, you mentioned there are 5 contentious bills on the table. What are the others?
So beyond the media reform bills that I just talked about, there are 2 others that lawmakers are currently divided on. And one of them is the so-called Yellow Envelope Bill, which is essentially an amendment of labor union laws that limits employer action on striking union members. And another is a proposed revision to the Commercial Act that aims to strengthen corporate governance transparency and protect minority shareholders' rights, particularly within large corporations. And both are being championed by the Democratic Party, while the People Power Party remains staunchly opposed. And here's what they had to say on the Yellow Envelope Bill.
By adjusting the balance in labor management relations, this will be the first step toward enabling dialogue at sites where subcontractors couldn't even speak to their main contractors, paving the way for voluntary horizontal cooperation.
The Yellow Envelope Bill could encourage unlimited illegal strikes and has high potential to devastate industrial sites.
Then, Hae-ryun, my question is then, will these bills be finally passed in the August session, do you think?
Well, so looking ahead, it looks as though the August session is going to be highly combative as it has been so far. And another plenary session is currently scheduled for August 21st. And the People Power Party has already warned that it will launch filibusters against all of the bills remaining on the agenda if they're pushed forward without bipartisan agreement. Meanwhile, the Democratic Party appears to be taking an approach that's being described as salami slicing. So they're passing bills one by one to wear down resistance. So all eyes are now on whether the opposition will stick to its filibuster threats.
Indeed. Hae-ryun, thank you for the breakdown tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Global investment banks are upgrading their outlook for the Korean economy this year. A positive shift notably evident even in JP Morgan, once the most skeptical. Our correspondent Moon Ji-young has more.
Major global investment banks are raising their forecast for South Korea's real GDP growth this year. According to the Korea Center for International Finance, the average 2025 growth forecast for South Korea among 8 major global investment banks stood at 0.9% as of the end of July. Notably, JP Morgan, which had previously held the most pessimistic view on the Korean economy, has significantly upgraded its economic growth forecast by 0.2 percentage points to 0.7% in just 2 months. Following the Bank of Korea's second quarter GDP announcement last month, JP Morgan assessed that Q2 GDP growth slightly exceeded market expectations, driven by strong exports and an increase in manufacturing. Goldman Sachs also raised its growth forecast by 0.1 percentage point to 1.2%, reflecting the outcomes of Korea's tariff negotiations with the U.S. In its August 1st report, the bank noted that the deal with the U.S. reduces uncertainties regarding tariff on specific items such as semiconductors, adding that Korea is not at a disadvantage compared to other countries. Regarding whether the Bank of Korea will also raise its forecast and its revised economic outlook this coming August, an expert noted that
while the uncertainty from the tariff negotiations is easing, potentially improving our exports, it's still unlikely that these agreements will drastically raise the economic growth forecast. Nevertheless, it will probably be slightly better than the 0.8% we had expected.
The Bank of Korea, in its May forecast, projected this year's annual growth rate at 0.8% and anticipated that the supplementary budget would boost the rate by 0.1 percentage point. Moon Ji-young, Arirang News.
U.S. President Donald Trump is bragging about his country's recent trade deal with South Korea, saying that the deal would open South Korea's market. Trump also announced that the U.S. will raise pharmaceutical tariffs significantly. Lee Seung-jae reports.
U.S. President Donald Trump on Tuesday touted the recent trade deal made between Washington and Seoul, saying that the agreement will significantly boost American automobile exports. In a CNBC interview, Trump said South Korea was a closed country, but the trade deal opened the market, referring it to as a tremendous business. The U.S. leader said the U.S. will be able to sell cars, trucks, and SUVs to South Korea. While South Korea has long imported American cars, the U.S. has repeatedly criticized Korea's automobile safety and environmental regulations, viewing them as non-tariff barriers. Meanwhile, during the same interview, Trump also said that his administration will raise levies on imported pharmaceuticals to 150% in a year. He added that the tariffs will then be raised to 250% later, as he unveiled a plan to announce more sector-specific tariffs within the next week or so. And Trump's push to reduce America's trade deficit through tariffs seems to be working, according to latest data. According to the Commerce Department's Bureau of Economic Analysis, the U.S. trade deficit narrowed significantly in June, while the trade gap with China fell to its lowest level in over 21 years. While the goods trade deficit dropped to 10.8%, reaching its lowest point since September 2023. However, beyond the trade figures, the U.S. economy is showing signs of strain as key measure of activity in the U.S. service sector stalled in July, with businesses citing rising costs and growing uncertainty due to the influx of new import taxes. Lee Seung-jae, Arirang News.
A new trend among young people in South Korea, the so-called Gen Zs. They say they would purchase products made by socially responsible businesses, even if they cost them more. Our Kim Do-yeon has more.
As ESG practices become more widespread in Korea's economy and society, so-called value-based consumption, making purchasing decisions based on personal beliefs and values, is emerging as a key consumer trend among Gen Z. According to a survey released on Wednesday by the Korea Chamber of Commerce and Industry, which polled 350 people aged 17 to 28 nationwide on perceptions of ESG management and consumption trends, 66.9% of respondents said they would choose products from companies practicing ESG even if they're slightly more expensive. This suggests ESG efforts are having a direct impact on brand preference and purchase decisions. But experts say it's always important to continue monitoring companies.
Some companies do a good job with ESG management and even obtain certification for their efforts. However, there are also cases where companies receive such certification but still engage in problematic practices. That's why it's important for consumers to look closely and make informed judgments about the companies they support.
The survey also reflected this. It found that Gen Z is quick to boycott companies involved in social controversies or ethical misconduct. More than 6 in 10 respondents said they had stopped purchasing from a company due to unethical behavior or negative ESG-related issues. Young people are also highly sensitive to the authenticity of corporate ESG efforts. In particular, 65.4% of respondents expressed concern over the issue of greenwashing. This highlights the risk companies face of being shunned by young consumers if their ESG activities are perceived as mere marketing tactics lacking genuine commitment. Kim Do-yeon, Arirang News.
South Korea will temporarily allow visa-free entry for group tours from China starting September 29th, just ahead of China's week-long National Day holiday through June next year. The decision was made on Wednesday during a government task force meeting on boosting tourism chaired by Prime Minister Kim Min-seok. The exemption will apply to groups of 3 or more Chinese nationals traveling with tour agencies designated by South Korea's Culture Ministry. Since last November, China has permitted South Korean nationals to enter without a visa for up to 30 days, a policy that is set to end this December. South Korean football star Son Heung-min is heading to Major League Soccer in the U.S., joining Los Angeles FC after spending 10 years with Tottenham Hotspur. His transfer will be made official at a press conference on Wednesday local time. Our Pyeongyang has this report.
According to AP News, Son Heung-min has officially agreed to a contract with Los Angeles FC, finalizing his move to Major League Soccer after a decade at Tottenham Hotspur. This comes after the 33-year-old forward announced his decision to leave Tottenham at a press conference held in Seoul on Saturday. Son was seen in attendance at LAFC's Leagues Cup match against Tigres on Tuesday night at BMO Stadium, where he was spotted in the VIP section alongside club officials. He appeared on the stadium's big screen late in the first half, waving to a roaring crowd of fans. LAFC will formally introduce Son at a press conference on Wednesday local time, where he's expected to make his first public appearance in the club's black and gold jersey. The event is expected to serve as his official signing ceremony. According to ESPN, LAFC will pay a transfer fee of around $26 million, setting a new MLS record and surpassing the previous record of $22 million set by Atlanta United signing of Manuel Latiloff. Son is also expected to earn more than Sergio Busquets of Inter Miami, who currently has the 3rd highest salary in the MLS at around $8.5 million. Son reportedly turned down a lucrative offer from Saudi club Al Ittihad in 2023, but this summer actively pushed for a move away from Tottenham. While Al Ittihad made another bid, LAFC ultimately secured a signature, reportedly with strong encouragement from Son's father to go to the U.S. During his decade at Tottenham Hotspur, Son scored 127 league goals and tallied 101 assists across 454 appearances in all competitions. Now joining LAFC, Son is expected to settle in comfortably in Los Angeles, which is home to the largest Korean community in the U.S. Pyeongyang, Arirang News.
Blackpink member Rosé has been honored with 8 nominations at this year's MTV Video Music Awards. Now, 8 nominations is the highest number ever for a K-pop solo artist. Rosé has been nominated for Video of the Year and Song of the Year for her duet "아파트" with pop star Bruno Mars, among others. Sales of translated Korean books at stores overseas have surged, following author Kang's winning of the Nobel Prize in Literature last year. According to the Literature Translation Institute of Korea, sales of literary works that it supported via translation and publication soared some 130% on year in 2024 to amount to around 1.2 million books. International sales of Kang's 19 works rose fivefold to 150,000 last year compared to 30,000 in 2023. Downtown Seoul has been transformed into a summer playground to offer the public some fun relief from the blistering heat. Our An Sung-jin has this report.
One last splash before the summer ends. The sweltering days of summer will soon come to an end. But Seoul isn't ready to let go of the season just yet, especially here in Gwanghwamun Square.
In this scorching August heat, those that are trying to escape the sun and the heat took the chance to cool off in the water.
From water slides to water buckets, the location has lots of attractions for visitors to enjoy.
I came here with my mom and 2 aunts. It was hot outside, but once we got into the water, it felt cool and so much fun.
As August 15 is Gwangbokjeol, the 80th anniversary of Korean independence, special activities have also been planned around the theme Let's Dive into Gwangbok. Co-hosted with the Seoul Regional Office of Patriots and Veterans Affairs, the event also holds booths to raise awareness of the country's struggle for independence.
We got to swim and do some hands-on activities. I even wrote a message celebrating the 80th anniversary of Korean independence.
By transforming the urban landscape into a summer playground, the 2025 Seoul Summer Beach offers some relief from the heat in downtown Seoul.
We organized this with the idea of creating a summer getaway right in the middle of the city. We started it to add some fun not only for visitors from around the world, but also for locals. We're glad that so many people came to enjoy it in the heart of Seoul.
The event runs until this Friday, so before summer is gone, why not take a dip in Gwanghwamun Square? An Sung-jin, Arirang News.
Rain was coming down hard in the northern parts of Korea, dropping heavier rain in parts of Gyeonggi-do and Gangwon-do provinces. But it was very muggy here in Seoul. And from tonight, southern regions will be seeing heavier rain into tomorrow morning, but Jeju Island will see rain all day tomorrow. In Jeollado provinces and Jeju Island will be seeing downpours, and most of southern provinces could be seeing 30 to 70 millimeters an hour of rain lashing down overnight. And with the rain moving in, a heat advisory was lifted in the central parts of Korea, but the heat returns tomorrow, starting out the day at 27 degrees here in Seoul and over in Busan. Then by the afternoon, Seoul, Daejeon, Gwangju will be getting up to 32 degrees under sunnier skies in most parts. Jeju will be rainy all day tomorrow. In fact, those on Jeju need to keep that umbrella close as rain is expected through early next week. That's Korea for you, and here's a look at the international weather conditions.
That is all we have for tonight. I'm Kim Dami. For all of us here at Arirang, thanks for watching and good night.